role played by rock and roll to offend sensibilities enough to cause people, for social attitudes, for government behavior to change. We laugh today at the censorship imposed on Elvis Presley. We laugh that John Lennon could have produced such an outcry. And Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols today does nostalgia tours for people of my generation. I'm 60. Sensibilities change, which means that we change. Yet this holds true when we are dealing with societies that value the individual and his or her right to free expression. Where today we see more and more of a clash is where different concepts of the rights of the individual come into conflict. Where societies wish to impose their own, often collectivist concept of rights on other societies, on other people. I think the first example of this in recent times, or modern times, was the fatwa pronounced against Salman Rushdie, who some 30 years ago playfully retold the legends of his own religion in a novel in an artistic and unorthodox way. But some self-appointed arbiters said they were offended and decided he had to be killed, even though he was living far away in a free, liberal, democratic society that was based on freedom of expression. Fearful his own government, that is to say, Salman Rushdie's own government as a British subject, tried to distance itself from him. Since that time, we have seen a number of cases where people who say things, make films or draw cartoons or write books that offend some collectivist sensibility have been killed or marked for death because they say things that supposedly offend one or another group. This strikes at the core of the ideas of the Western Enlightenment. The same Enlightenment whose science and art has enabled us to transcend pre-industrial primitiveness and allows us to produce amplifiers and microphones and records and CDs, videos and YouTube, all of which underlie rock and roll. Others can copy those things, but they can't create it. They can only be created in a tradition that values the role of the individual. Because in order to create, you need to innovate, do things differently from the group, differently from the collective. Before the Enlightenment, we believed that the sun circled the earth, and people who said otherwise were tortured or burnt at the stake. Before the Enlightenment, people who were different were accused of being wild and different to the wild approval of the collective, and they were burned at the stake. Before the Enlightenment, groupthink outweighed the ideas of the lone individual. And this is the ultimate tragedy of authoritarian societies. You kill creativity, you kill the spark of life and culture, of science. You kill your scientists, you kill your artists. And in doing so, you kill your society. And also the chance to change. Pardon me for being so serious when I'm, even myself, I keep hearing in the back of my head Mick Jagger singing a song from when I was 40 years ago in my third year of college, singing "It's only rock and roll, but I like it." But it isn't only rock and roll, it is also Arthur Rimbaud and Ezra Pound. It's Honor Schoenberg and Vladimir Mayakovsky. It's Lou Reed and Salman Rushdie and Robert Mapplethorpe. When collective belief systems, be they Marxism, Leninism, fascism, or one or another religion that thinks it has the unique key to truth, have more say than the lone individual, the result is tragedy and the end of any hope for democracy, for freedom, or for any real art of any type. So I wish Tallinn Music Week success. I'm proud of this event, which has gotten me in so much trouble for standing up for freedom, more, in fact, than any other thing I've actually done, which, of course, is a tiny, piddly drop compared to the ocean of suffering endured by those that I have stood up for throughout my life, and who, whatever their art form, whatever their form of expression, have my undying and eternal respect. I speak about these perhaps too abstract notions because freedom is not an abstraction. It is the basis of our lives. Thank you very much.